Hi everybody, I want to talk today about what I just received in the mail. I was going to do this the other day and do the big deal, opening it up and everything. My buddy Kenny Wallace beat it to me. But this is from the NASCAR Alumni group, headed up by the wonderful Amber Wells. As you notice, you look in here, if y'all seen this, if you watched Kenny's the other day, we got a bunch of goodies, some magnets and a bunch of stuff. But here's what I want to talk about today. I want to talk about this, the hard card, and what that means to me. And I feel like a lot of other folks that receive these things, okay? Give you a little history. Man, when I was like 5 or 6 years old, I remember being on the bicycle out here on the road, going around a stop sign, and I was a race car driver. I was Richard Petty, and I was out there outrunning Fred Lorenzen and all those guys, right? Well, anyhow, so when I come of age, I got me a dirt car. We ran the dirt races around here locally. And, you know, NASCAR was this big mammoth thing that we were kind of secluded from, but it was like the, you know, the ultimate. NASCAR was the ultimate. So in the mid-70s, I received my first NASCAR license, driver's license, right? And I held a driver's license for going on almost 30 years, right? So I remember when I first got that license, and we started running like South Side and South Boston Speedways and all that. I mean, it was a big deal. It was a great big deal to me. It was like, man, we're in this elite club now. I've got a NASCAR license, NASCAR driver's license, right? And in those days, right on when we were running late model, right up through Busch Grand National, then into the Cup Series, what you would do if you had a NASCAR license, when you got to the racetrack, there was a little booth set up outside of the garage area, outside of the racetrack. Everybody that had a license went to that booth and you signed in, right? And then they gave you the credentials to be in the garage area for the weekend. I mean, everybody had to do it. I don't care if you was Rick Mast or Dale Earnhardt or Richard Petty. Everybody had to do this. And what would happen, you get there, you know, and the line would be 4 miles long because every crew guy, everybody's in that garage area had to do that. So sometime, maybe in the early 2000s, they came out with the hard card, the first issue of the hard card. They would issue this hard card at the beginning of the season, you know, if you were with a team as a driver, car owner, crew member, whatever. And for the first couple of years, when you go into the garage, you just show this hard card, go right into the racetrack. It did away with all that, you know, all the mess we had to go through. Well, anyhow, you go in the garage area, and you're supposed to go up to the red truck in the middle of the garage, and they had a waiver form. You signed your name that you were at the racetrack. And as a driver, you couldn't get on the racetrack until you signed that piece of paper, right? And I bet you, maybe, I did it maybe 4 or 5 or 6 times. I'd be strapped in the car, getting ready to back out of the garage. An official would stop me. Or the worst time was I was out on pit road getting ready to go on the racetrack. The official stopped me. Rick, you didn't sign the sign in. Man, so you have to drive back garage area, get unbuckled, get all your stuff off, throw your helmet off, run to the red trailer, sign, and come back in. They did that for a couple of years, right? And, you know, then they finally did away with that. So all you had to have was a hard card. Now, what this hard card is, like before the hard card, when you had the credential, even when it switched over to the hard card, when you're at the racetrack and you're a competitor, you're inside that garage area, this hard card lets you maneuver and go wherever you need to go within the facility. If you need to go out on pit road, if you need to go to the media center, even if you had to go up into the grandstands to the press boxes or the suites or whatever you had to do, you know, that's what you did. And for 30 years, that's what I did, right? That was my domain, right? Everywhere you went. You know, before the hard card, the past did the same thing. Now the hard card gets you wherever you got to go. And, you know, it was like, that's your life. For 30 years, that is your life, right? And you conduct your business, you do what you needed to do, you know, for the weekend or whatever it is. And then what would happen, well, what happened after, when you leave the sport, okay, then you don't have a hard card any longer, okay? You're like, well, what do we do now? Well, for me, whenever I went to the races, and I've attended since I got out, I've attended quite a few races over the years. Mike Helton would always accommodate me to get into the garage. You know, in fact, the one person who's in front or in charge one time, he told him if a driver comes in, you know, an old driver wants to go in, just sign him up. Well, they've got NASCAR, as most of you know, they've got a NASCAR registration trailer sits outside of the racetrack now. The people that have passes to go in for the weekend or whatever, the VIP passes and all that, you go and you sign in with NASCAR and do all that. Well, so that's what they would always do for me, and I was always appreciative of that. The problem is, it was a pass you put around your neck, and it had VIP access. Well, that VIP access, it would get you in. You could go into the garage, but it was limited. I mean, a few times I would go somewhere or do something. I see somebody over there I don't want to talk to, or something I wanted to do. I would get stopped because I didn't have a hard card. Right, this pass wouldn't allow me to get in, and it has to be that way because that's the work area. That's the work area for all the competitors, right? And you can't have everybody having full access to go into all these areas. But for somebody like me and so many of the guys with me, that was just everyday practice for us, right? That was just normal living for 30 years. That's what we did. And when I'd go to the racetracks and I would get stopped or turned away from where I wanted to be or go or see somebody or whatnot, and they would stop me. I'm like, man, it just it made you feel, I don't know how it made me feel. A little bit sad, a little bit upset, not mad. I was never mad because I understood the situation. But lo and behold, a year or two ago, Jim France and Mike Elton decided that we need to fix this for the competitors that earn the right to carry one of these things in today's sport. And they did. They put it out there. Amber Wells and her crew took this thing over. They've been growing it. They're getting it going good. I mean, it's really a neat deal. And what it does also, it just kind of puts them in line with other professional sports, other major professional sports. They have, they have programs like this. A little different the way it's implemented, but still basically the same thing. And I'm going to tell you something, man. When you cherish, and let me back up. I was always one of those guys that was humbled to be in the sport. My 30 years in the sport, I did what I could do to help Rick Mast, right? But I did, one of my little deals in my head always was to help NASCAR protect the brand and grow the brand, right? And also with that, or the sponsors that I had all through the years. It was protect the sponsor and grow the sponsor, grow the brand. And, did a pretty good job at that. I felt like it did. But, with NASCAR, but being humbled by all that, and some of the guys come in and weren't really humble, okay? And that's just your makeup. But me being from where I was at and NASCAR being such a big deal over here, and then I became a part of it. Then it became my family, and it became a big part of my life for over 30 years, actually. And, then you go back when you go other sport and you're not doing what to do, and you come back and you can't really do what you feel like it's just natural or comfortable. This baby right here puts you back into that place. It puts me back into the place that I spent 30 years of my life giving what I thought was my best to the sport and to the people I represented. And for NASCAR to recognize us, okay, by giving us these things, to me, it's hard to put in words what it really means to me. It's just that it's not like you're getting paid back for doing what you did or being involved, because it's a two-way street with all this. But, to be able to walk into a garage with this, and you don't abuse it, right? You don't abuse these things. This is their work area. Guys are working, they're doing their thing. The media's doing their thing. The track personnel, the NASCAR people, they're all doing their thing. So but from 30 years of doing this, what conversations to get in, where to be at, where not to be at. I mean, it gets you into the driver's meeting, right? I remember I went to the track one time and I had the VIP pass. I went to go into the driver's meeting, couldn't get in, right? And I forget why I wanted to go in there. Something I wanted to go in there for. I couldn't get in. I'm like, man, it was really discouraging. And another thing about it that ties into this alumni deal, I talked to one driver, and I know they know about it. The driver told me one time, Rick, I'd like to go back, but I don't even know how to get in. I don't know who to call, what to do, but, I thought, well, that's a little bit short-sighted because you pick up a damn phone to call, right? Call NASCAR, and they'll fix you up. But, I think it's just going to open up over time. It's going to take a while. It's going to take a while for some of the guys to come back around, because you go to the garage, you kind of feel like an outsider, but not with this. You're no longer, and I guess that's what I'm getting at. Before we had this, I would kind of feel like an outsider. I'm like, I'm not an outsider of this sport, man. I was here for 30 years. I was right in the middle of everything. I am not an outsider. I am part of this sport. This is a solidifying piece that makes this whole. And for Mike and Jim and everybody in NASCAR that did this, part of it, and now Amber carrying it on with her crew, I'm so appreciative. It's not something that we don't think about, but it is something I know that all the guys that receive these and are going to receive them, I know how they're feeling, and I know how appreciative they are. So for that, NASCAR, thank you. Have a good day, everybody.